Most bankers aren't ready to help you until after their third cup of coffee. But with Central National Bank's after-hours service, you don't have to wait for the bank lobby to open to get help. You can contact us from 6 to 8:30 in the morning or from 5 to 10 in the evening, and we'll connect you to a real, live, local person who can answer questions and fix problems 7 days a week. Bank different. Bank Central. Central National Bank. Member FDIC.
Through the night, deep in the heart of Texas, the trailer park is nice and dark. Deep in the heart of Texas, Ted drinks his brew and he spits his chew. Deep in the heart of Texas, the TV blares but no one cares. Deep in the heart of Texas, here we go.
Hey there, welcome to King of the Hill Rewatch Podcast. I'm Mike.
And I'm Rusty.
Rusty, welcome to Friday.
Welcome to Friday.
This is another minor characters episode. We're going to go over a few
another minor character episode. You are right.
Other Hills, Platters, and Kleinschmidt. Kleinschmidts.
And the Kleinschmidts are who? Is that the...
Well, we're going to get to it.
Okay.
Let's do this first. Rusty, I want to get a couple of things out of the way. This is a Friday episode, so it's a little bit shorter, a little bit different.
Yeah, it's different.
But let's talk about a couple of things here. Let's talk about how people can find us real quick, so that that's out of the way.
Okay, everybody, you can find us at BWAAAKOTH on Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, Facebook, and thank you, Mike, for reminding me to do it at the beginning of the episode. We should be doing that at the beginning of every episode.
Yeah, I got you.
And the call to action, guys, is so we've got stickers. We want to give away stickers, but the way that we want to do giveaway stickers is we're going to give away 10 to start off with, potential for more later on. We're just going to see what kind of engagement we can get from this campaign here. So be on the lookout. I posted Monday a Instagram and a Twitter post. If you haven't already, you'll have time to go do it. I'm going to run it for 3 weeks before we pick winners.
3 weeks.
So this is only this is only the Friday of the first week. So you've had all week to do this. You found out about it in the Monday episode, so there's no excuses.
Yep.
All I'm requiring is a like, a follow, and a share on either or both if you choose to. It doesn't increase your chances, but if you want to do it just to be nice, you can. Either Twitter or Instagram. Make sure you like, follow, share one of those. BWAAAKOTH, Instagram or Twitter. Again, look for the post. It's there. It's waiting on you.
Look for it.
Go like it. Go follow. Go share. You have to be liking one of the 2 pages in order to be entered. 1 entry per individual
Household.
No, you could do more than 1 per household if you want to.
1 entry per IP address.
But it's 1 entry per account. So if you have 5 accounts on Instagram and you do it 5 times, you have 5 chances. That's the only way to do it, 1 per account. I'm not going to do.
These are cool stickers too.
Deals,
they
are
are
really neat stickers.
They are created with an image by a guy on Instagram called
I Draw Basketballs.
Yep.
And I got to get his address.
QR
so we can send him one.
code. It's got our stuff on it. They're cool stickers, and we'd love to send them out. Just do what Rusty said to do.
Yep.
I'm going to say one more thing, and then we'll get into these minor characters. We mentioned in the last episode how there's one podcast out there that really kind of doesn't want to deal with us. I want to make it very clear. We are a King of the Hill fan podcast, and we will deal with anybody who is creating King of the Hill content, anybody who's a King of the Hill fan, any podcast that's going on. We are not in competition with you. We just want to help spread the word.
We can exist together.
Yep.
So, again, that's another call to action for everybody. If y'all will go to any King of the Hill podcast that still is being produced, specifically Dang Old Podcast.
Dang Old Podcast.
We've kind of had a little Twitter. I wouldn't even call it beef. It was more like a little Twitter lamb because it didn't go above a ba black sheep.
White meat.
So it just didn't go above a murmur.
Yeah.
But it was, pretty much me. I'm just reaching out. I mean, he took it offensively, but whatever. I can't please everybody. It wasn't malicious.
Man, I'm just saying.
I want to work with other King of the Hill podcasts. We just want to work with you. Yeah. We exist differently. We are all doing the same thing essentially, but your podcast is just not going to be as good as ours, and that's okay. But we still want to, facilitate and have friendships in this King of the Hill podcast, King of the Hill content creation realm.
Amazon sells toys. They're not trying to put Toys R Us out of business. No, wait a minute. That might be a bad example. I'm sorry.
That is a bad example.
Yeah, but we all just want to work together.
But we just want to work together. We're not Amazon. We're not here to take anybody's listeners.
We are not Amazon.
If anything, we're here to share our listeners with everybody else. Like I said, it's a cross fertilization thing. Your guys you do. Everybody does something different, and if you don't appreciate what we do, then fuck you.
Hey,
right?
Watch your language.
Oh, I'm sorry.
All right, let's do this. Minor characters. We've got Other Hill, Platters, and Kleinschmidt.
The Kleinschmidts.
First one on the list here is Ladybird.
Ladybird.
Ladybird
so
Hill.
For those of you who don't know,
Ladybird
for you
Hill.
Younger crowd here, Ladybird Hill, the bloodhound, right? Is she a bloodhound?
Yeah, she is. She's a Georgia bloodhound.
A Georgia bloodhound. Yeah. Georgia bloodhound. Come on, somebody, why don't you run? Old Ladybird's ready to have some fun. But so Ladybird is named after the first lady. What was her actual name?
Ladybird.
Was her name Ladybird?
Ladybird Johnson.
Ladybird Johnson?
Yep.
Okay, I didn't know that was her actual name. But all right, there you go. You have it. So Ladybird was named after...
Her actual first name was Hazel.
Oh, Hazel.
No,
okay.
it wasn't.
It wasn't.
I don't know.
No, it was actually Ladybird. It was a nickname. It says that Ladybird is named after the wife of former President Lyndon B. Johnson Ladybird, which was a nickname that she was commonly referred. Hank Hill has a particular affinity to Lyndon Johnson because they are both from Texas. And Lyndon Johnson was the president known for whipping out his extremely large penis in front of people. Yeah.
No.
Yes, he was.
Come on.
He used to shit with the door open and do business with his advisors and stuff. Yeah, he was like, I wonder if that's where they get that from. Okay, that probably is an actual thing then. That could be where they get that from because Lyndon Johnson was known for
is a lot like
having
Johnson.
a large penis and showing people that he had a large penis.
It was him
as well
and,
as shitting while he was talking. You didn't see that in the Bryan Cranston film when Bryan Cranston?
I haven't watched the Bryan
You need to watch that.
Okay.
That's great.
You got it. I'm looking for a big penis. So we've got Ladybird Hill, who is the 13-year-old purebred Georgia bloodhound named after Ladybird Johnson. It's said that her mother helped track down James Earl Ray.
Yeah, and not only did her mother track down James Earl Ray, but she passed on a genetic problem too, potentially, into Ladybird. So Ladybird, not unlike Hank, has a narrow uterus, whereas he has a narrow urethra. She has a narrow uterus, which jeopardizes her chances of ever having any kind of puppies. So they have that in common there.
It does not say who Ladybird is voiced by.
It doesn't. She is voiced by Clifford the Big Red Dog.
Okay.
It's his one and only acting role outside of hanging out with Emily Elizabeth on Birdwell Island.
Emily
Elizabeth I actually, for a podcast
Look how much
idea,
he knows about Clifford
it wasn't
the
a
Big Red
podcast
Dog.
idea. It was an idea for a YouTube series that I was going to do, or like a streaming series. It was going to be an adult interpretation of Clifford the Big Red Dog, and I was gonna watch it episode by episode through the entire series, and I was gonna give an adult interpretation of that episode.
That goes hand in hand with the one I was gonna do, which was Caillou learns how to give massages. It's a really
It's
good
creepy as shit anyway. They should have canceled that show. So in this show, of course, Ladybird survives for 13 years of the show, 13 seasons, but the actual lifespan of a bloodhound is around 7 to 8 years.
Yeah. She's a good one though. She's
really
helped
good
Hank
dog.
through a lot of stuff.
She appears in every season, not in every episode, but she appears in every every season. But it's crazy how few episodes that she only exists in a good 20 or 30 episodes.
Well, she was in one of the last ones that we did where she comes up and licks Bobby's back.
So according to this list here that I'm looking at, I wonder if that is episodes that she is physically in or episodes that she makes a noise in.
Oh, I don't know.
So because is she in the background a lot in these episodes? So that's
does she have a SAG card?
Does she have a SAG card?
Yeah.
Is she at least making the SAG minimum?
All right. So next on our list is Colonel Cotton Lyndall Hill.
Wow.
He is voiced by Toby Huss.
You needed just a whole episode just for this
He's
guy.
Hank's cantankerous father, Peggy's father-in-law, and Bobby's grandfather. He has half-trigger temper, it says here. Despite his many shortcomings, he occasionally showed a softer side. For example, in the episode Cotton's Plot, where he helped Peggy learn to walk again after her parachuting accident, no spoilers, his shins were blown off in World War II by a Japan man's machine gun, which is what he says.
Mm-hmm. He used to be 6'4".
And his feet were reattached to his knees, resulting in a short height and stilted gait. Despite his disability, he eventually reached the rank of colonel in the state militia. After Cotton and his first wife, Tilly, Hank's mother, divorced, he married a much younger, soft-spoken, busty blonde candy striper named Didi, who gave birth to his youngest son, G.H., or Good Hank. He was immensely proud of his military service, though his claim of fighting Nazis, was proven false, and his claim of killing 50 men was dubious. His participation in several of the bloodiest battles in the Pacific Theater was confirmed, and his uniform was shown to be decorated with the Medal of Honor and the Purple Heart. Cotton himself died in episode 1218.
He had the Medal of Honor, he had the Purple Heart, he had the Silver Star, and he had the American Campaign Medal. So, a long story short, the man was a decorated war hero.
And an
just
ass.
with the Congressional Medal of Honor. That's it. You don't even need anything else. If you have the Congressional Medal of Honor, it doesn't matter what rank you come across. Everybody from the 5-star general to the lowest private, they all have to salute you.
That's the one that the
and
president
give you
has to hang on you, right?
That's the one the president gives you, and most people get it posthumously. And a fun fact for everybody here.
Fun fact about posthumous medals.
I actually have a family member who is a distant cousin. We share a fourth great grandfather or something like that. Was actually a World War I Medal
of Honor. So this is just a person you met one time.
No, I never met him. He was dead long before I came along.
Sure.
But Sergeant Alvin York of World War I fame. They made movies and stuff about his.
I know Sergeant
what he
York.
did.
Sure.
Gary, was that a Gary Cooper film?
Probably.
I think it was Gary Cooper film.
Probably.
Yeah.
Cotton himself died in episode 1218. I'm assuming that's season 12, episode 18.
Yeah, he dies in season 12, yeah.
Death picks Cotton after suffering severe burns and an allergic reaction to shrimp during a flashback at a Japanese restaurant. Instead of addressing Peggy by her name, he calls her Hank's wife.
Yeah, so he again, back to his war service. You're talking about a guy that served on the Solomon Islands, Guadalcanal, Anzio, which was in Italy, Normandy, and
it's a big deal. Yeah,
Saipan, Guam, Philippines, Iwo Jima, fought in Munich, but that was what you said. They realized that he didn't.
Iwo Jima, hardly knew her.
And in Okinawa, but it's funny because in the Okinawa episode, which is Cotton's Plot, is the name of that episode. It showed that he actually was the inventor of a bayonet technique that the Army still uses. Yeah. So Cotton Hill is responsible for a particular bayonet technique. He was also in a POW camp for a long time. And he also severed the windpipe of a German corporal with a 2-foot strand of dental floss that he kept in his boot. Yeah. He survived on a life raft by trapping rainwater in an upturned eyelid. He killed a high-ranking German officer and took his helmet and later used it as a souvenir, which he later used to cut Hank's hair, and claimed that Hank cried more when he cut his ear than the officer when he killed him. Sure. So, he's a character. The post-war guy too. He's a pretty crazy one. And you find out that he has more than one son. You find out that he has he had a son with a Japanese nurse called Michiko or something. I can't remember her name.
Michiko.
Yeah, Michiko. And finds out that he has a kid with that. And then you find out that he was also had planned to assassinate Fidel Castro which we end up finding out in the episode that we did about the alternative episode. That was one of the things that the alternative episode tried to erase, was Hank being born in New York and the assassination attempt on Cuban leader Fidel Castro.
Yeah.
So that was a part that's one of those things that got erased, or supposedly got erased. But
so next on our list is Didi Hill.
Didi Hill.
Didi.
There's probably not much known about her.
Voiced by Ashley Gardner. She's Cotton's second wife, Hank's stepmother, Peggy's stepmother-in-law, and Bobby's step-grandmother. She's a 28-year-old candy striper after she retired from being an exotic dancer. Next on the main stage, Didi Hill. She has breast implants and suffers from postpartum depression following the birth of Cotton's third son, GH. She is generally depicted as docile and ditzy, although she is a certified optometry assistant. I don't know if that's a real thing, but I'm assuming it is.
It is an actual thing.
Optometry assistant? Is that the person who gets the glasses off the wall?
Well, after I graduated high school, my friend's wife, she was doing that.
If you're an optometry assistant, I don't
does the
mean
glasses
anything
part.
by that. I'm
they
just saying.
Like help. They're the ones that like help you pick your glasses.
Okay.
Like
that's what I thought. I mean,
the people that do all the stuff like up to the optometrist part. So all the puffing in your eyes and all that stuff. So the optometrist is the one that goes in there and does the.
Why don't they ever tell you look bad in glasses?
1 or 2.
You know?
I don't know.
I've never walked into one of those places and goes, I need glasses, and they go, oh, don't wear those.
Do you think that there is a speech communication class that optometrists have to take inside of their course where they have to learn how to say 1?
Better 1.
Or 2.
Better 2.
Because they all sound like I've had. We're all guys that wear glasses here.
Yeah.
So every optometrist I've been to, whether it be male or female optometrists, all have the same. It's the same like flat tone, the same cadence, and it's like they learn it. It's like it's a learned thing.
Yeah. Now serving number 28.
Please read the top line.
Turn the page. Bling. It says that she was absent at the time of Cotton's death and was only seen once more, where she says she is engaged and will remarry a wealthy professional wrestler. So that's Didi. Next, we have GH. You can see that all of these are kind of intertwined with each other. Good Hank, Jeffrey, GH Hill is Cotton and Didi's infant son and the younger of Hank's 2 half-brothers. GH is an abbreviation for Good Hank, implying that the original Hank was unsatisfactory to his father. Cotton treats GH much better than Hank, presumably because Cotton sees him as being his second chance of being a better father than he was for Hank. GH was key at a time when Hank had to convince Cotton not to end his life, as well as to permit Hank to give his father money for the baby's sake. And as a payback for the years that Cotton raised him, GH was absent at the time of his father's death and is not seen throughout the rest of the series, although it is presumed he is living with his mother and stepfather, the professional wrestler. Not much to say about GH. He's just a baby.
He's just a baby.
He's just a little baby.
Good Hank.
Next, we have...
That's one thing I can say about GHL. I think it's really fucked up that he calls him Good Hank.
Yeah,
instead of coming up with a different name for him, he's like, no, we'll call him... His name is literally Good Hank Hill.
Good Hank Hill. Next...
okay, so actually we get his real name. His real name is Henry Jeffrey Hill.
Yeah.
You just said that.
I just said that.
Yeah.
Next, we have Tilly. This is Matilda Tilly Mae Garrison, formerly Matilda Tilly Mae Hill. Yeah. She was voiced by Tammy Wynette in 97 and 98.
Very first one.
Then she was voiced by Beth Grant in 99. Garant, sorry. And then Kay Callan in 2000 to 2009. She is Cotton's first wife, Hank's mother, Peggy's mother-in-law, and Bobby's grandmother, and she is 69 years old. She divorced Cotton after suffering years of verbal abuse. Tilly is the kind of woman who collects miniatures because they made her happy during Cotton's abuse. Hank is often overprotective of her, fearing she is too old and fragile to go out and do things on her own. Tilly lives in Arizona with her husband, Gary. Tilly's legal name varies depending on the series. She is listed as Tilly on Hank's birth certificate, but is addressed as Matilda by the clergyman during her wedding to Gary.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. She's always she is always like a calming kind of thing for Hank. Whenever she comes around, Hank kind of changes.
Oh, his mom. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, isn't that everybody's like that with their mom? I guess I don't know.
No.
I
If you
have a good
I feel
mom,
more
yeah.
calm around my mom.
I hate mine.
Oh.
She's got an episode coming up I really like in a few weeks.
Yeah.
When Cotton comes over for Thanksgiving and she's already there.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, that's one I'm excited for.
that's a good one.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Hey,
I
we're
like that
getting
one too.
close to it. For how many do you think that is away from now?
That's 6 weeks away.
Oh,
Six
That's episode
weeks.
9.
Well, what
Should
we're
we
gonna have
fast
to
forward?
do? We're gonna have to pluck a Thanksgiving episode out of
Yeah.
because we didn't do it for Halloween like we should
Yeah.
have. So we're gonna have to pluck a Thanksgiving, whether it's that one or
It's the same season, so
Yeah,
Is
it's
it
the
the
same
same?
season.
Yeah, same
Yeah.
season.
Is it the same? I know the same season, but is it the episode where they fly with the turkey?
No, this is the one where they go to the mall for Black Friday, and Cotton and Hank are in that
Yeah.
focus group for the tractor.
yeah. I know what you're talking about.
Or
Well, I mean, it's in the air. We
You
can do
are
that
a
one.
wealth of knowledge, Mason.
Yeah, he is. He's
I'm
really,
telling you.
really.
either
like-
are good. Both are great
I'm
episodes.
glad that you're a part of the show. Like,
Yeah, me too,
you know,
man.
you're an official part of the show, right?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
from here on out.
getting
I mean,
called
like,
out. Yeah.
whether you're with Rogue Media Network or not, you're with Bois King of the Hill podcast. As long as you
I don't
understand
know that he's going to come in especially for this, but
Well,
yeah.
we'll figure it out.
All
I'll
right.
go to him. With that knowledge, I'll go to him.
Watch us fight all through the night, deep in the heart of Texas.
Next on our list is Elroy
Elroy.
Lucky Kleinschmidt, voiced by
Created for
Tom
and
Petty.
voiced by Tom
yeah,
Petty.
Tom Petty.
They literally fashioned this guy for him.
He is Luann's husband. He's a 36-year-old hillbilly. It says here, I did not make that up. It's often hard for Lucky to hold down a job. He has no credit or Social Security
Oh,
number.
he's hilarious. He's really funny. I like him.
He lives on the remainder of a $53,000 settlement monies he received after slipping on pee-pee at the Costco. Having had a portion of his spine fused, he was nicknamed Lucky after the settlement windfall. After he spent a majority of his money customizing his truck, his finances dwindled down to $9,000, but regained another $53,000 when an ambulance-chasing lawyer paid off Lucky to avoid a lawsuit. Peggy tried very hard to break him and Luann apart, but after Luann's pregnancy was revealed, she and Hank reconciled the two, giving them a shotgun wedding at Lucky's request. He is also one of the guitarists for John Redcorn's band Big Mountain Fudge Cake. Although dim-witted in some aspects, Lucky has learned some facets such as basic math through life experience as opposed to formal education, and was astute enough to deduce that his father-in-law spent time in prison, whereas Luann believed the story he works in an oil rig. He yearned to receive his GED, but only to prove that he was good enough to marry Luann.
Yeah, but you notice that the episode that you're talking about where he finds out about the oil rig and he knows that he's
Yeah,
lying.
yeah.
He asks, is he in a state or a federal oil rig?
Yeah,
and I
yeah.
remember that line, so that made me laugh. But you know, another thing that you forgot in that's a real funny trivia about Lucky that I find hilarious. He celebrates his birthday early because he states that the men in his family die young.
Oh, yeah.
So
Yeah,
he
that's true.
celebrates his birthday months ahead of his actual birthday just in case he doesn't make it.
Big Mountain Fudge Cake. That's all. I just wanted to add that.
Big. You know, it's actually a really good name for a band.
It is a good name for a band.
It
All right.
reminds me of the early memes. What was that? The horse, the Candy Mountain, Charlie, with the
Charlie.
horses. Yeah. The unicorns.
Next on our list is Gracie Margaret Kleinschmidt. She is the daughter of Lucky and Luann. She's born in the season 13 episode Lucky See Monkey Do. Luann originally wanted to name her Lasagna, stating that lasagna was her favorite
Lasagna.
food, which is a wonderful thing.
Who are we on next? I didn't hear you.
While this is Gracie Margaret Kleinschmidt.
Oh,
While
Gracie
under the
Margaret Kleinschmidt,
influence of
okay.
hospital analgesics, but then she chose a more conventional name after she recovered. She wanted to name her Lasagna, which I think would have been fantastic.
Yeah, that would have been one hell of a name. So who's next?
Next,
Myrna?
we have Myrna Kleinschmidt,
Myrna
voiced by
Kleinschmidt.
Paget Brewster.
Who is Paget Brewster?
She's the one who voices Myrna Kleinschmidt.
Is she somebody like an actress? Or?
She is an actress and a voice actor. She's Lucky's sister, Luann's sister-in-law, Gracie's aunt, and the main antagonist in Lucky See Monkey Do.
Oh, okay.
She is an intelligent, modern mother who only appears in the episode Lucky See Monkey Do. She has 2 children, 1 son and 1 daughter, Gracie's paternal first cousin, and raises them in strict accordance with contemporary parenting practices, something which leads her into a rivalry with Peggy, whose parenting skills are from older schools of thought over how to assist Luann and her pregnancy due date approaches. When Luann goes into labor, Myrna commandeers the situation and insists that Luann have a natural, drug-free water birth. But under Hank's encouragement to think for themselves about how to raise their child, Luann and Lucky opt for a hospital birth instead.
Yeah, so Paget Brewster, she actually she should get a nod here. She's actually been in some cool stuff. So she was Kathy on the 4th season of the NBC sitcom Friends. It was a recurring character in the 4th season named Kathy.
All right.
So her breakthrough role, though, was she played FBI Supervisory Special Agent Emily Prentice on Criminal Minds.
Is she Punky's older sister?
I don't know.
Okay.
Maybe not. But she was also on... I don't know if you watched it. I watched it. Harvey Birdman, Attorney at Law.
Yeah, absolutely.
She played Judy Ken Sebin.
Bird
Girl.
Man.
She played Bird Girl.
Oh, okay. All right.
And then she also played Sarah Kingsley on the Fox sitcom Grandfathered.
Grandfathered. That one ran
Whatever that
for
is.
3.5 days. Next on our list is Leanne Platter, voiced by Pamela Adlon. She is Luann's violent alcoholic mother, Gracie's
she's wild.
grandmother, Bobby's aunt, and Lucky's mother-in-law, and is 42 years old in the show. She was imprisoned for second-degree assaulting her husband in the back with a fork. Though she is often mentioned during the course of the series, she appears only in the episode Leanne's Saga, visiting Luann in Arlen after her release from prison and briefly being courted by Bill Dutrieve.
Oh.
That's a good episode. I like that one. That's the one where she climbs all over Buckley, and he's like, get this skank off
Get
me.
this skank. What'd you call me, a skank?
Yeah,
It triggers
that's when she
her
goes
to
nuts.
explode.
Yeah. Next, we have Hoyt Platter. This is Johnny Knoxville.
Yeah.
And that is
Old Johnny
Luann's
Knoxville.
father, Peggy's older brother, Hank's brother-in-law, Bobby's uncle, Lucky's father-in-law, Gracie's grandfather, and Leanne's ex-husband. He is 50 years old. Despite Luann's beliefs, he never worked on an oil rig, but was in jail for most of Luann's life, with the oil rig story acting as a cover so Luann wouldn't know her father was a convict. He appears in only one episode, Life, a Loser's Manual, after being released from jail. Hoyt commits a robbery and tricks Lucky into taking the blame, but he eventually confesses and is sentenced to life prison under a 3-strikes law. This episode, Leanne's Saga, reveals that Hoyt was planning on marrying a pharmacist girl before Leanne, then working as a stripper, entertained at his bachelor party.
Okay.
Yeah. It does surprise me that Johnny Knoxville was not in this show more.
Yeah, it surprises me too.
I think this was the time when he was coming up, and so he was, just starting to get into that rhythm.
This is the earlier part of that whole thing. Yeah, the whole Jackass.
Yeah.
So what episode was that again that he was in? You said
He was in Life, a Loser's Manual.
Life, a Loser's Manual.
Mhm.
I wonder what season that was.
It was season 134.
Life, a Loser's. Season 12, episode 22. So no, it's not. That's actually way after he's big. Yeah, I think they got big in the early 2000s. By the time season 12, episode 22 came around, that was 2008. So they were at the height. They weren't just starting in. That was the height of the popularity of Jackass was 2008.
This might have been like stunt
because
casting,
I remember in middle school was when Jackass came out, and we were jackasses, and we attempted to do some of the dumb stuff they did. We actually built a
so
wrestling
many Hot
rink.
Wheels up your butt.
We never did anything like that. No, we didn't do that. Rest in peace, Ryan Dunn, though. What we did do, though, was we built a backyard wrestling ring out of plywood, and then the ropes for it were extension cords.
Yeah.
And we thought that we would be Johnny Knoxville and those guys, and we got into this wrestling ring and would hit each other over the head with license plates. And
Sure.
Yeah,
Why wouldn't you?
It was a crazy time, I guess.
Next on our list here of minor characters is Maddie Platter, voiced by
Maddie
Joanna
Platter.
Gleason.
Joanna Gleason.
She is
Who's
Peggy
she?
and Hoyt's mother. Hank's mother-in-law and Bobby and Luann's grandmother, Mother Platter, lives in Montana with her husband Doc, She's an old-fashioned, tough-as-nails rancher type and loathes Peggy for deserting the family ranch and not marrying a local neighbor boy. Strangely, earlier episode flashbacks feature a totally different Peggy's mother character who is essentially an older version of Peggy. It's not made clear if one is her real mother and one is her stepmother, or if Maddie mother character retconned the older version completely.
Yeah, I have to give a nod to the. Go ahead.
I've also always been kind of confused by. So if they've had the ranch in Montana, I assume they've had it for years.
Yeah,
because that's what's implied.
Right.
Yeah.
And how did Peggy go to high school in Arlen? I've never got that.
Yeah, I don't know that either.
They
I think
moved
they
there
just
from
screwed
Montana.
up.
Yeah,
They moved
that's a
there from
plot hole.
Montana, though.
And
No, they moved
moved
there. I think they
just
talk
moved
about
back
it.
after. I guess.
Yeah,
I guess I don't know. Maybe.
I don't know.
But
He never quite moved away from a ranch in Montana.
no, you're always you can take the girl out of the ranch, but you can't take the ranch out of the girl because she likes to eat ranch.
Plus,
a
your
lot.
heart is always in Montana.
Yeah,
Montana, a state for hearts.
stayed for hearts. So
You want to
the
avoid giving a girl a ranch. That's how you get kids.
that is, yeah, there you go. Absolutely. So back to the voice actress. So the voice actress that actually did this, she's actually a Tony Award winning actress in musicals. I've never heard of her before, but she is apparently known for.
She's never heard of you either.
Yeah, she never has. Into the Woods, the play Into the Woods.
Yeah.
Stephen Sondheim,
Yeah.
Into the Woods, and then she also was known for film work in the movie Heartburn, 85.
Okay. Yeah.
Hannah and Her Sisters, 86.
Hannah and Her Sisters. Wow, that's a
I've never heard of that one. Woody Allen.
Woody Allen movie. Yeah.
Crimes and Misdemeanors. Boogie Nights.
Wow.
And then she had television roles in Friends, West Wing, Good Wife, The Affair, whole list of TV stuff.
Yeah.
And
She was in that commercial for Ding Dongs.
And she did various roles. So this isn't the only voice role that she did. She did over 8 episodes.
Yeah.
And
No, I've heard the
she
name
had various
many, many
roles
times.
in King of the Hill. So that's pretty cool. So
Next one on the list is Doc Platter. This is Stephen Root,
Platter.
one of my favorite actors of
Stephen
all
Root.
time. He is
What a guy.
Peggy and Hoyt's father, Hank's father-in-law, and Bobby and Luann's grandfather. Sorry. He makes only a single major appearance when Peggy, Bobby, and Hank visit the family ranch. He seems to be going somewhat senile and preachy, only talking in rural Old West metaphors, which Hank interprets as old-fashioned Western-style wisdom.
Yep.
But he's just nuts.
Certifiable.
Okay, there is one here that is voiced by David Carradine, and I don't know how to say the name. He is Hank's older half-brother.
Oh, Junichiro?
Junichiro. Say it again.
Junichiro.
Junichiro. Okay.
I watch a lot of anime.
I got you.
Junichiro.
Okay. All right. Good job, Mason. Thank you so much. Peggy's half-brother-in-law and Bobby's half-uncle who has lived in Japan all his life. Junichiro is Cotton's son with a Japanese nurse, Machiko, from an affair in Japan during World War II. Hank and Junichiro share many similarities in appearance and mannerism. Oh, I remember this now. This in spite of the fact that Hank actually shares more of his mother's features. One of these is that when he is shocked, like Hank, he yells, "Blah!" Like Hank, Junichiro also has a narrow urethra and is an assistant manager at the company for which he works, making robots and robot accessories. At first, he renounces the hill blood in him, but eventually calls Cotton father. Yeah, I remember that, but that's way late in the series, right?
I think like
mid
6.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
6 or 7,
It's
I
a
think.
good doubleheader.
Yeah, that's a doubleheader episode too. Yeah, so they're in Japan for 2 episodes, and it's really funny because one of my favorite jokes about the whole thing is when they first get there to Japan, they open up this apartment or this place where they're living, and they literally sit in the foyer of this thing. They don't understand that it's the foyer.
Yeah.
Well, at the very end of the episode, they open the doors and stuff like that, and they're in this big, huge palatial hotel room,
yeah.
and all they did was sleep in the foyer because they thought it was
a little tiny Japanese thing.
It was and not even a joke. There are a lot of those things in Japan that are really small like that.
People live in
And,
tubes.
He actually does show up in it's season 6 called Returning Japanese. Episode 1 and 2.
Returning Japanese. Okay, one left on our list. This is the final one.
What do we got, Mike?
Dusty Hill.
Dusty Hill.
Dusty Hill,
So,
the bassist,
Hills.
vocalist for the band ZZ Top and Hank's cousin.
Yep.
Yeah.
And I like that
Played
episode
himself,
there
too.
because They pretty much run it as the celebrities are jackasses and don't care about sentimentality and stuff like that. And at the end of the episode, they get this car, they tear it up, and it's a car that meant a lot to Hank. It was the Cadillac car.
It's a Cadillac car.
Yep, and Dusty Hill.
Get my Cadillac car.
You know, it's real sad because Hank's the one that's done so much maintenance on it, really, too, and they just give it to Dusty Hill.
So Dusty Hill, he is Hank's cousin.
Yep.
In the episode, Hank gets dusted. Cotton gives his prize Cadillac to Dusty without allowing Hank a chance to buy it. Dusty enters the car in a demolition derby in which it is badly damaged. Hank and Dusty make their peace after Dusty has the car repaired and installed at the Cadillac Ranch.
Yep, which the Cadillac Ranch, for those of you who don't know, is in Amarillo. It's an art installation in Amarillo.
Yeah. So the one tie that I have to Dusty Hill, it's not a very good one, but my wife was up on stage at a ZZ Top concert and got kissed on the forehead by Dusty Hill.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so there you go.
Yeah, so you get to
my
kiss
big
a
tie.
forehead that Dusty Hill kissed.
That's right.
So
That's right.
you're kissing Dusty Hill
I'm
by
kissing
proxy.
Dusty Hill by proxy. We
There we go.
We are forehead Eskimo brothers. So that's it, man. That is a bunch of hills
actually,
and Kleinschmidts and
back to the ZZ Top guy.
Yeah.
There's actually a gag in one of the episode that he appears in where they tape a beard to Bobby Hill's face.
Yes.
And I think that's just
Well,
really
this was
funny.
at the height of the ZZ Top thing. Also, when they put
Probably
out
beyond the height.
a
of it
little
at
bit
this point.
past it, but they
They're
were still
like
putting out
50.
albums. Their first big one was Eliminator, and I remember that was 1984. The only reason I remember that is because I used to lock myself in the room, listen to Eliminator, and play Burger Time.
So they were that old when they started?
Play Burger Time on my Intellivision. So that
What
should
is-
date me pretty well.
So they were that much older when they started then, because
Yeah. They'd been
they
around.
were like almost 50 by
Dude,
this
they've been
point.
around since the
60s,
late
70s?
60s, early 70s. Yeah.
Oh, but they didn't really get big until.
Well,
Were they like an independent?
They were like a regional thing, right? They were
like
more
a
of a
southern-
Texas band, a
Kind
southern
of like
band, all this
Alabama
stuff.
and stuff like that.
Right,
yeah.
but then when MTV got big, they started making these big, high-class music videos with the Eliminator car and all that
because
stuff.
that whole genre of southern rock
Yeah.
was all regional, wasn't it?
For
You
the
weren't
most part.
driving through like New York State listening
No,
to
probably
Leonard
not listening
Skinner
to a lot of
or-
Leonard Skinner up
or
there.
Alabama
Yeah,
or any of these
yeah.
guys.
Now,
wouldn't think.
well, I don't know. I mean, Leonard Skinner was a big deal whenever the plane went down and all that stuff. So I don't know.
Yeah.
Maybe.
The day that music died,
Yeah. That's
was
it.
that it?
Bye-bye, Miss American Pie.
No, that was Buddy Holly
I
and
know.
Richie Valens, right?
Valens.
Valens.
Yeah, and the Big Bopper.
And the Big Bopper.
Chantilly lace and a pretty face. That was the song he sang.
Well, I was, I'm always with the firm belief that music died in 1979.
Oh, yeah? Why is that?
80s music was horrible.
I liked 80s music.
Well, like 80s.
I still like 80s music.
Mainstream pop. Well, I mean, that was your era, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But mainstream popular 80s
You think
music
today's
to me.
music is better?
No, I didn't say it was.
okay.
But I think
All
that a music revolution has changed. I think music as like in the 80s music, you didn't get. Well, from what I know of 80s music and like what it was, because I'm not from the 80s, so I don't know. I didn't live during the 80s. I lived during the 90s. But I know that independent music wasn't, I don't know, from like there's not a lot of independent breakthroughs in mainstream music that I can remember. There's a lot of one-hit wonders and stuff like that. But I feel like that music has had with technology being the way it is and people being able to produce like studio quality productions from their like closets now, whereas before you were plugging headphones into microphone jacks and like singing in the headphones, as a microphone. So now you're able to produce. The music is in a renaissance, if you will, because of the independent people can now be independent and not have to go to a label. They can continue their distribution independently and become millionaires through independent music because of the platforms and stuff that we have that didn't exist then.
Back in the day.
I just think that music was
It's
Yeah.
also
crap.
a lot easier just for everything to be spread internationally.
Yeah.
So now we're getting stuff from Korea, the Middle East.
Well, not only that,
Paris.
you've got like
As soon as it's done.
you've got like rappers that are like not local, maybe not any local guys, but you have like independent rappers that have zero following in the United States, but they're making $1 million off of, people in Japan
He
that like
made
their music,
$1 million.
or wherever. You know, they're making tons of money off of international. You know, their music being international, even though they don't get any local following. So it's just a whole different world. So
late '80s, there was a label called IRS. It was a record label, and what they did is they would put out these sample albums, cassettes and CDs and stuff. And IRS, I remember they are kind of the reason that 120 Minutes existed on MTV, which was all about like independent music and stuff. But I remember the IRS putting out these things, and there was some great stuff that came out of that, like Wall of Voodoo. I believe Talking Heads originally was on an IRS label. I know that REM was. They were discovered by them in Atlanta, and then they blew up. I used to love those compilation albums, though, by IRS, because you would get a bunch of bands that you had never heard of, you know, and it was super cool. Some of it sucked, some of it was great, you know, but yeah. IRS put out some cool stuff kind of before any of the viral stuff happened. It would happen with that.
Well, there was another company too. It's a Swedish company. There was a documentary about it. They're called Chiron Studios, I think, or Chiron, or however you pronounce it.
Never heard of them.
And well, that's funny that you've never heard of them, because what was the guy's name? Max Martin, a guy named Christian London, Andreas Carlson. You've never heard of these guys, right?
No.
You know what bands and acts they're associated with, and some of the most popular music of that era. There was a boy band called Five that was huge in England. There was one called Boyzone. But now let me get to ones you do know. Britney Spears, Bon Jovi, Backstreet Boys. Some of the production for some of their most popular songs.
Oh, this is the one. This is the Swedish producer. Yeah, I know what you're talking about. Yeah, I do know exactly what you're talking about.
They did the song, Where Did You Come From? Where Did You Go? The Cotton Eye Joe song, Rednecks.
They
did
remixed
that song.
the Cotton Eye Joe song. Yeah, I do know who you're talking about there, but what I was more talking about is like being able to walk into a record store at the time and buy a bunch of people you'd never heard of. So it was all
for sure.
compiled on this one label.
A compilation album.
So that's how people got exposure at that point. But you also had to get noticed to be on, you know, one of those compilation albums too. So, but 120 Minutes was a big deal.
They do playlists now.
Yeah.
Now you buy your way onto a playlist.
So. But 120 Minutes was a big deal for me on MTV. It was all independent music and stuff, alternative.
Yeah.
A lot of Cracker and you know, Talking Heads and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So,
well, I think it's crazy how that industry has developed too. Because like I said, now like a lot of these younger artists, they have people who have big playlists.
Sure.
And it's not even like a radio selection playlist. It's like a Spotify playlist. And you pay money to get a slot on a Spotify playlist. Crazy. It's crazy. But I mean, you got to think some of these playlists, you'll look at their followers and they'll have 1 million people that listen to that playlist.
They've got 1 million followers.
So you just put one song on there, you pay for your one song. You have potential for over, you know, 1 million people to hear it.
By the way, this is the last thing, and then we'll get out of here.
Yeah.
I'm a big Mike Judge fan.
Huge Mike Judge
Office
fan.
Space, one of my favorite movies of all time. Office Space, right?
Yeah.
Have you seen the Walmart commercials?
No, I have not.
They got all the Office Space people back to do a Walmart commercial about Black Friday and stuff.
I'm gonna have to check that out.
It's really great.
That is great. So
got
you
him
know
on
that,
there going,
all this Mike Judge stuff makes me
maybe
feel
want to come
hopeful
in early. You know, that kind
for
of
a revival.
It's really good stuff. Yeah.
Makes me hopeful for the revival.
Yeah. No, it's excellent. All right, so tell them where they can find us.
You can find us at BWAAAKOTH on social media at Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, and Facebook. I would love if you guys would interact with us more on Facebook. You can find us at BWAAKOTH. We have a group and a page. If you've got a King of the Hill meme, a King of the Hill post, a King of the Hill anything, you know, we do moderate it, so I don't want any like Peggy Hill, like Peg and Hank, you know, memes or anything on there. You can share those with me, though, because I think those are hilarious, but please don't share them on the public forum. But we would appreciate if we got some engagement on the Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok. We would love that. I'm making a conscious effort to post as much as I can and as often as I can. I'm not able to post as much as I would like, but I'm still getting you guys stuff out there. So if you guys would interact with us, we'd appreciate that. And you can also find us at roguemedianetwork.com. You can also find some other great podcasts over there. The ones I recommend are Bros, Foes, and Heroes, which is a dive into to odd. They go through odd characters in odd comic books, not just characters, but comic books itself. I got the fortunate chance of being a half of an episode host on what was an actual really good episode about. It was a Halloween episode, and it was a comic book about dogs who were
Stray Dogs.
It was called Stray Dogs. That was the name of it. It was called Stray Dogs, right? And it was about stray dogs who were. There was a serial killer who was killing people and taking their dogs, and then once the dogs would find out what he was about, he would take them in the backyard and shoot them. And then it's about these dogs escaping this serial killer and getting them caught by the police and stuff. And like this dog like dives into the street. Oh, it's a really dramatic episode. You guys should go give that a look over there at that's at roguemedianetwork.com. Bros, Foes, and Heroes.
Also, you can reach us via email if anybody out there still uses that. We are at BWAAKOTH at roguemedianetwork.com. Send us anything you need, and we will submit that promptly to Mason and have him approve it, and then we can read it. And that's it. That's it for Minor Characters. Happy Friday. And
Wimatanye.
This has been a Rogue Media podcast.